Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're looking at the 16th of February, 2026. And, the hits just keep on coming. This is Spencer Keck coming at you live from Tunnel Hills here in Kentucky, where we live for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and to serve others. That is the key thing that makes life worthwhile. Not self-service, but self-sacrifice. So, as I was thinking today about this 16th day of freedom from buying balderdash from a balding billionaire, bombastic billionaire, Jeff Bezos, I also had to think about some other things I've been watching, which is Representative Ro Khanna and Representative Massey from here in Kentucky, having the balls to go on the floor of Congress where they have the right to say what they want to say about anything. And so they named 6 of the hidden names of the very rich folks that are on the list. These folks that believe they're immune and believe that nothing can touch them. Because we have a 2-tiered justice system in the United States. And this 2-tiered justice system guarantees that the Epstein class will not be touched. They're untouchable. They're not going to go to jail. They know that. So, if anything that they did was even thought of by common folk like you and me, they not only put us in jail, they throw away the keys. So, thinking back in history, the last time that we just absolutely let millionaires, billionaires run the world and run especially the United States, since it was we were at our transcendence up to the top, that was when the robber barons ruled everything. So the Rockefellers, the Carnegies, the Mellons, go on down the name, the Vanderbilts, they did whatever they wanted, whenever they wanted in the United States and all over the world. They chose who was going to be elected, when they'd be elected, who was going to be in the ballot, and they ran it. And they were running everything into the ground. We actually had, as I talked about before, some of their own that turncoat on them. But we're not seeing that now. And none of their own want to expose this 2-tiered justice system we have. The justice system that lets the elites do whatever they want, will protect them, and prevents them from being exposed. But anyone that's not in their elite class, in that Epstein class, they'll throw them in jail and throw away the key if they even think about doing what those guys did. So I urge, beg, plead with anyone with any common decency. We can give up the left and the right now when it comes to this. I was just watching the Sean Ryan show. He had Ro Khanna on there twice now, at least. They have been, throughout their lives, probably polar opposites politically. But right now, they completely agree that it is up to us to rescue ourselves. Congress isn't doing it. Ro Khanna and Congressman Massey, they're both trying to. But right now, it's just like they're spitting in the wind. We have to have the tipping point where enough Americans are going to say, hey, I'm tired of this pitting us one against the other, left against right, when it's about right and wrong. You know, you can get back to fighting about letting the rich get away without paying any taxes after this is over. But the folks that are rich, that are never held accountable for crimes, we can't let them get away with that anymore because we want them to give us a scholarship fund. You know, because, well, these guys were great, giving scholarship funds, paying for, you know, glory projects for themselves that the masses beg for. And they're just counting on us, you know, being able to ride this out in another 2 years, 3 years. Everybody being like, oh, we need to go ask the donor class, which is the Epstein class, to give us some money. So let's let them off the hook again. Are we going to do that? That's the big question. Hey, Tom, good to see you on here. Tom says, yeah, Easteen and his ilk. Tom says, Carnegie, for all his faults, at least donate a fair bit of coin to develop public libraries. Granted, I don't know of any comparable donations by the Rockefellers or the Rothschilds. Yep. And Tom also says, in my outdoor classes, canoeing, camping, etc., I was taught that self-rescue is the first resort. There we go. It's the second resort. The analogy works here too. So, yeah, I have to agree with you, Tom. Absolutely. So that's the question, you know, and I know Tom has already been off the wagon of Amazon longer than me. Had some other folks on here last night, and my dear friend out in Montana, Ron Jones, was saying he's never been, you know, on the Amazon wagon, never ordered from Jeff Bezos, you know, so he buys local. Again, it's back to that. To rescue ourselves, we've got to start locally. From our elections, you know, I'm running for magistrate, District 3 here in Hardin County, because we got to start this from the bottom up. That's how we were defeated, was from the bottom up, not from the top down. When I say we, I'm talking about all of us folks who aren't in this elite class of folks that can get away with doing anything they want, that can shoot someone right in the middle of Broadway if they wanted to, and they get away with it. That's not us. We're the folks who work and build this country, and they just treat our daughters like common trash, and they get away with it. Well, enough's enough. And now we know that Bill Gates was up there. What age was the women he was having shenanigans with? I don't know. But the fact that he knew who he was hanging out with, all these folks hung out with Epstein many, many, many years after he was a convicted molester of children, of young girls. So they all need to be held accountable. And I mean the Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton. If they knew, and how could they not have? You know, we can wipe their donor privileges away from our party. We don't need that. We don't need any of these folks who believe that there should be a two-tiered justice system in our country. That one group of people, because they have more money, are better than us. That's got to be erased from democracy. That's not democratic. Never has been, never will be. This is our last chance. What are we going to do? All right, we got Steve Lee. Good to see you here, Steve. 4959. I grew up in a poor family, latchkey kid because both parents had to work. Learned to fend for myself, still doing it. All right. Yeah. Well, we can fend for ourselves, but that doesn't mean that we're not all in this together at the same time. We have to, as a community, stand up to this class of folks who says they're above the law. And again, how do you do it? Start with your community, our community. We buy local, we vote local, and we act locally. We do that, and we don't hurt our other neighbors that are doing the same in their spot locally. It'll be a patchwork quilt of greatness, but it has to start locally. And we have to take it back from Jeff Bezos. He is not local. Now, he might be part of that donor class. So, I know he gives stuff out to little special projects here and there. Some of them are conservative, some of them are liberal. The big one was conservative recently, the $40 million little project he donated to make a little movie for an immigrant named Melania. But the fact that he gives to, or has given in the past to some so-called liberal causes, that's not enough for him to get off of the hook for supporting this two-tiered system and propping up this system that lets him and folks like him get away with anything and everything they want to that we couldn't do. Tom says, I wanted to get a couple of copies of some keys today. Have it had me thinking about a big box store at Lowe's, but then I remembered that there's a locally owned hardware store about the same distance. Amen. Do it just as good. Steve says, absolutely. I'm saying we'll do what we need to do and not kneel to the wealthy. Amen. There you go. Together, we can do that. If we together do not kneel anymore to the wealthy, we stand up, don't take a knee. These fascists are going to feel it in their pocketbooks, and we're not buying from them anymore. And they're going to have to quit taking their knee and stand up and call out those among themselves that are the most corrupt and the most evil among them and call them to account. Tom says, yeah, he went to that store and got his keys made locally, a local hardware store. Exactly. And we got quite a few of them that need the business, and they also are keeping that money local. That tax money is local. That's what we got to think about. All right, y'all. So halfway through February, actually past halfway through now, since this is the shortest month of the year, I'm still off of my addiction and doing well. Looking now at, all right. Yeah, I've got Microsoft Word that I run the computer with here, but I want to make sure Xbox, I haven't used it in years now. I'm not going to use it. Anything I can get that is not Microsoft, that's what I'm going to use. No more Edge for a browser. It's a crappy one anyway. I'll be using a different browser, probably Brave, one that's not as easily hacked anyway, where you can't get tracked as well. But yeah, Gates, boy, you were doing some good stuff. Just like the old joke says, though, you can build the biggest bridges in the world, the most beautiful bridges. Everyone can be calling out your name from a high on how wonderful you are and the most beautiful bridges you build across the world. But suck one cock and you're a cocksucker. Now, I know that's politically incorrect, but hey, they're worse than that. You go and do one evil thing in Epstein Island, you're an Epstein Island kind of guy. And we know now who was there. Bill Gates, Musk, Clinton, Trump. You can't convince me that all these folks didn't know early on who that son of a bitch was and what he did. So, good riddance to them all. Let's start anew. Let's all unite at least in bringing down these folks who hurt kids. So, Steve, yeah, just verified we haven't ordered from Amazon all month. Steve, that's freaking awesome. So we're doing it. You know, their stock is taking a hit. Will that hurt the billionaire with his billions that he's sitting on? Might not hurt him personally, but once it pisses off the Amazon stockholders, because they're going to be feeling the 10% and more now hit that it's taken to the stock this month. Yeah, they'll be calling out Jeff Bezos, and he'll have to be calling out what he knows he has to do to push back, shove back on this fascism. So y'all, please like, subscribe, share this with friends if you can. If we can just share it with 5 folks, you know, that haven't seen this show yet, haven't heard the message here, that'll help. Number 1, I need the vote. District 3 here in Hardin County. And I really need to see that all that I fought for overseas, all the bad guys that I fought overseas, that we're not just going to turn around and have the same type of crap here in this country. So please make it worth it. All right, we got Jonathan. What's up? Greetings from occupied Memphis. Yeah, I sent you a message there earlier, Jonathan. Check it out. Let me know if I got your permission for next time. All right, y'all. United we stand, divided we fall. We are our brother's keeper and our sister's keeper because we love our neighbors as ourselves. And if we're loving our neighbors, there's no way we can be divided by these cocksuckers that are trying to separate us into their tier and our tier. 2 justice system. We don't need that 2-tier justice system. We need one justice for all of us. Justice for all, not just for the downtrodden. That's right. Steve says, hang tough, Jonathan. Absolutely. Loved what you sent me earlier. Like I say, just give me permission. Let me know. All right. Y'all have a blessed night. Bless your corazón. Corazón, of course, is heart in Spanish.